Welcome to the deep dive. I'm your host, and I'm really excited about our mission today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm our resident expert for this one, and I agree this is a fantastic topic.
So, you know that feeling when you just open up your phone? Like maybe you're sitting on the couch trying to check a quick email or look up a recipe for dinner, and suddenly, bam.
Oh, completely. You're just instantly bombarded.
Right. You're hit with like three different videos of people yelling at you that you need to start a new side hustle or, launch a personal brand right this exact second.
Yeah, or jump on some massive new tech trend.
Exactly. And the underlying message is always, if you aren't sprinting, you are failing.
Right, it's the defining characteristic of modern digital marketing, really.
Mm.
The overwhelming, omnipresent message is always, you are falling behind as we speak.
It's exhausting. It's this suffocating, constant sense of urgency. But today, we are completely flipping the script on that entire culture.
We really are. We've got a fascinating stack of sources in front of us today.
Yeah, a mix of articles on digital entrepreneurship, market research on startup life cycles, and field notes from business analysts. Our mission is to extract the absolute best insights from this research for you.
Because for anyone listening who has ever felt overwhelmed by this relentless, fast-paced hustle culture of the internet, this is going to be a massive aha moment.
Totally. We are essentially asking one profound question today. Remember when business decisions were made differently?
Well, what's fascinating here is that when you aggregate all these analyses, you see a clear evolution, or well, maybe a devolution, in how we make decisions.
Ha, right, a devolution.
Yeah, we're going to unpack the fundamental mechanics of the deliberate, measured approach of the pre-social media era, and then compare it to the psychological pressure cooker of today's landscape.
Which is just chaotic.
It is. But in that chaos, we're going to uncover a massive hidden advantage that experienced individuals actually hold.
I am so ready for this. Because, before we can truly understand the chaos of the modern online business world, we need to establish a baseline. We really need to look at the mechanics of how things actually used to be done before the internet just accelerated the clock on everything.
Right. If we look back at the bulk of the 20th century, the approach to building an enterprise was entirely different. It was slower. It was
Well,
deliberate.
very deliberate.
The idea of an overnight launch was practically an oxymoron back then.
Yeah, that just wasn't a thing.
Instead, individuals asked highly practical, grounding questions before a single dollar was spent or a single product was manufactured.
And our notes highlight the specific questions people would ask, right? Like, does this model make sense? Is there real verifiable demand for this?
Exactly. Can this be sustained over a period of 5, 10, or 20 years?
Which sound like really obvious questions, but when you genuinely think about the mechanics of answering them, they require actual time.
Time and effort.
You cannot accurately answer, can this be sustained based on a 24-hour social media poll?
Precisely. Because you're testing for economic reality, not just temporary hype. Answering those questions requires, running the numbers on supply chains,
Right.
analyzing local foot traffic, understanding competitor margins, and stress testing the idea against potential economic downturns.
It's building a foundation.
Yes, business was treated as a structural entity that you built deliberately. It wasn't just some weekend experiment where you throw up a landing page to see what happens.
And that older, deliberate mindset did something crucial, right? It created structural stability. And it cultivated deep experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, let's unpack this with an analogy, because I think we need a solid visual to understand the mechanics here.
Sure, let's hear it.
It's kind of like the difference between meticulously laying the foundation of a brick house versus just throwing a tent up to see if it catches the wind.
Oh, it's good. Or, it's a lot like the difference between algorithmic day trading and Warren Buffett-style value investing.
Oh, yes, let's go with that. With algorithmic day trading, you're reacting to micro fluctuations in the market. You don't even care what the company actually does.
Right, you're just trying to ride a 5-minute wave and get out.
Exactly. But with value investing, you are evaluating the absolute fundamentals of the asset. You look at the leadership, the debt-to-income ratio, the long-term market trends.
Which takes infinitely more time to research.
Right. But when a market crash happens, the value investor holds an asset that survives, while the day trader just gets wiped out.
That is a perfect framework for this. Deliberation builds resilience. When you practice value investing, or I guess value business building, You are forced to deeply understand the underlying materials of your industry.
Yeah, you have to know what you're doing.
Exactly. And that deep understanding is what translates into genuine experience. Today, however, the digital environment heavily incentivizes the day trading approach,
It really does. It rewards throwing up 1,000 micro-experiments rather than understanding the fundamentals of one solid idea.
which leads directly to the severe lack of foundational stability we see in so many modern online ventures today.
Okay, which brings us to the catalyst. If the deliberate value investing method worked so incredibly well for a century, what broke it?
Yeah, the big shift.
Why did deliberate become such a forgotten concept? What made everyone switch to this manic day trading mentality?
Well, the research points directly to the internet, and more specifically, the arrival of algorithmic social media.
The post-social media era changed the very physics of the market.
It really did. Look at the landscape today. We see entirely new coaching programs, software tools, and digital marketing frameworks launched every single week.
Every week, it's dizzying.
There are endless marketing promises, all wrapped in this manufactured constant urgency to just start now.
Ugh, the start now culture. It is absolutely everywhere. But our sources make this incredibly crucial distinction, and I really want you, the listener, to hear this clearly. The problem out there is not opportunity.
No, it's not.
The problem is noise.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at how human psychology conflates noise with opportunity.
Right.
When your inbox is flooded with 10 different foolproof business strategies, or your feed is full of teenagers claiming to make millions on a new app, your brain registers that as a wealth of opportunity.
Oh, for sure. You feel like you're missing out on gold.
Exactly. But when an environment moves that quickly, people are pushed to make snap decisions based on fear of missing out or FOMO. And snap decisions driven by FOMO are rarely grounded in economic reality.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate here for a second, though.
Go for it.
Because the online world does move at absolute light speed, algorithms literally change daily. Entire platforms can peak and die in a matter of months.
True.
So if you don't jump on an opportunity every 5 minutes, don't you just get left behind? I mean, isn't speed, by definition, a virtue in a digital landscape?
See, that is exactly the assumption that the source material dismantles. We have to ask who actually benefits from that speed.
Oh, interesting. Who does benefit?
Well, the constant push to start now or act fast is fundamentally a marketing tactic. It's used by the platforms and the course creators. It is not a viable business strategy for the person actually trying to build something.
That is fascinating. Wait, break down the mechanics of that for me. How is it a tactic and not a strategy?
Think about the psychology of artificial scarcity. A digital course has infinite supply, right? There is no physical limit to how many copies can be sold.
Right, it's just pixels.
Exactly. Yet marketers will use countdown timers, limited enrollment windows, and urgent messaging. Why?
To make you panic buy.
Yes, because triggering that sense of urgency bypasses your prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for logical, deliberate evaluation.
Wow.
And it activates the amygdala, pushing you into a reactive state. The urgency is designed to get you to buy into their system or their ecosystem before you have time to ask those baseline questions.
Like, does this make sense? Is there real demand?
Exactly. They don't want you asking those questions.
Yeah. Wow. So the platforms and the people selling the how-to guides want you to move fast because it strictly benefits their conversion rates.
You nailed it.
But if you actually want to build a sustainable business, you still have to move at the speed of reality.
That's beautifully put. The speed of the internet has not changed the fundamental laws of economics or human behavior. Building trust takes time. Delivering real value takes time.
It's unhackable.
Right. Learning to separate a genuine fundamental opportunity from mere manufactured noise is arguably the ultimate modern survival skill.
Because if you can't filter that noise,
You will just exhaust your capital and your energy, making quick, unwise decisions week after week, constantly pivoting to the next shiny object.
you're just reacting to the market instead of actually participating in it. So if noise is the primary threat in the modern digital landscape, who actually possesses the best filter to cut through it?
This is where the research gets incredibly compelling. It suggests that the most effective filter belongs to people with decades of life and professional experience. Specifically, the data points to the demographic of adults over 50.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because society tells us the exact opposite.
Oh, 100%.
We are constantly fed this narrative that the internet belongs exclusively to the youth. We idolize the 20-something tech founder who moves fast and breaks things.
We do. But the analysis we're looking at today argues that after decades of work and life experience, adults naturally evaluate opportunities through a completely different lens.
They don't get swept up in it.
No, they intuitively revert back to those historical baseline questions. They look at a flashy new online trend, and instead of getting caught in the hype, they ask, is this realistic? Is this sustainable?
Is this actually worth my time and capital?
Exactly. And those questions are the ultimate noise cancelers.
Wow.
When you have lived through multiple macroeconomic cycles, when you've seen the dot-com bubble burst, the 2008 financial crisis, and various fads come and go.
You've got a baseline.
Right. Your brain naturally runs these new opportunities through a rigorous stress test. You aren't easily swayed by a countdown timer because you understand the underlying economic fundamentals.
But let me push back on this, because I know what some people listening might be thinking.
Okay, let's hear it.
Isn't deliberation sometimes just a polite corporate word for procrastination?
I see where you're going.
Or maybe like a mask for technological anxiety. Like an older executive looks at a new AI tool, gets intimidated by the interface, and says, well, I'm just being deliberate, when really they're just afraid to learn it.
That's a very fair critique, and it's a trap people definitely fall into.
Yeah.
But there is a vital distinction made in the research between hesitation and discernment.
Hesitation versus discernment.
Yes. Hesitation is rooted in fear or a lack of understanding. Discernment is rooted in evaluation and data processing.
Oh, that's a great distinction.
The source material puts it perfectly. To the untrained eye, both look like inaction, but mechanically, they are entirely different.
Let's illustrate that, actually. Instead of the cliche, seasoned sea captain metaphor.
Right.
Let's think about this like a structural engineer versus a tourist looking at a flashy new skyscraper.
Oh, I like this.
So a real estate developer pitches a revolutionary new building made entirely of a newly invented glass. The tourist, or, the rookie investor, looks at the rendering and says, this is the future. We have to invest right now before someone else does.
Because it looks amazing.
Exactly. But the veteran structural engineer just stands there, silently looking at the blueprints. To the tourist, the engineer looks frozen, maybe even out of touch.
Right, like they're hesitating.
Yeah, but the engineer isn't hesitating. The engineer is calculating wind shear, looking for load-bearing walls, and realizing the new glass will literally shatter under thermal expansion.
That is a brilliant way to explain what the analysts call pattern recognition. Experience physically wires the brain to recognize patterns.
Which is incredibly valuable.
It raises an important question. What is the actual monetary value of pattern recognition in a digital economy? Let's use a real-world example from the online space.
Okay.
A 20-year-old might see a flashy influencer on social media claiming to make $50,000 a month drop-shipping cheap electronics. And they think it's an unprecedented gold rush.
Right, they just see the revenue claims and the lifestyle, the sports cars and the mansions.
Exactly. But an experienced 55-year-old looks at that exact same video and sees the underlying pattern. They recognize the exact same unit economics and supply chain vulnerabilities from a multi-level marketing craze in the 1990s.
Oh, wow. They've seen this movie before.
They absolutely have.
Yeah.
They see that the market will saturate in 3 months. They know the customer acquisition costs will mathematically skyrocket beyond the profit margin.
And the only person actually making sustainable money is the influencer selling the how to dropship course.
Exactly. So they don't jump in, not because they are afraid of the tech, but because they recognize the structural flaw in the business model.
That is so powerful.
In an online world overflowing with hype cycles and outright grifts, that level of pattern recognition is an extraordinarily premium asset.
It is the ultimate defense mechanism, which completely reframes this pervasive, culturally ingrained late starter myth.
It really does.
We have this narrative that if you are older and you are just now jumping into digital spaces, online business, or modern creator economies, you are hopelessly behind the curve.
Yes, and the research confronts that myth directly. It acknowledges that many people assume starting something new later in life means starting from a massive deficit.
Right.
But the data argues the exact opposite. Starting later means starting with fundamentally better judgment.
Because you already have the foundational architecture built in your mind.
Exactly.
The notes make a really crucial distinction here that I think is incredibly comforting, they say. Technical skills can always be learned, but judgment can only be developed over time.
We constantly confuse the two. We look at someone who could optimize a search engine campaign, edit a viral video, or build a complex automated email funnel, and we think, wow, they are incredible at business.
Right, they're a genius.
But those are just mechanics. Mechanics can be taught. You can watch a 3-hour tutorial this weekend and learn how to operate a new software tool.
Yeah, anyone can do that.
But you cannot watch a tutorial to learn 30 years of human psychology, conflict resolution, market dynamics, and risk management. Those elements must be lived.
Man. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, who might be feeling deeply intimidated by the technical side of the modern economy?
That's a great question.
Because again, the prevailing mantra of Silicon Valley for the last 15 years has literally been move fast and break things. We are told that speed is the only metric that matters.
Right.
But everything we are unpacking today argues that moving fast and breaking things works for, like, software debugging. But it is a catastrophic way to build a sustainable business or long-term customer trust.
It means you need to fundamentally revalue your own life experience. Your experience is your primary asset, not a secondary trait.
Say that again, that's good.
Your experience is your primary asset. The lack of specific technical knowledge is not a fatal flaw. It's just a temporary gap in mechanics.
Wow.
The analysis brings this all together with a powerful thesis. What if the deliberate, older way of evaluating business decisions is exactly what the frantic online world desperately needs right now?
I absolutely love that perspective. It's not that the older generation needs to drastically adapt to the frantic pace of the internet. It's that the internet desperately needs the deliberate pacing of the older generation to stabilize itself.
Just look at the fatigue in the market right now. Consumers are exhausted by fly-by-night brands, broken promises, and software that launches before it actually works.
Oh, tell me about it. We are all exhausted.
When experience guides decision-making, founders are far less likely to chase short-term hype and far more likely to build infrastructure that lasts.
Yeah.
The modern digital economy is completely saturated with hype. What it is absolutely starved for is longevity. And longevity is the natural, inevitable byproduct of deliberate, experienced decision-making.
It all comes back to value investing versus algorithmic day trading.
Exactly.
The internet has enough day traders reacting to every little wave. It needs more people building businesses with strong fundamentals. This whole deep dive just feels like a massive exhale.
It really is a relief.
If you have been feeling the pressure to rush, to launch your product before you're fully ready, to endlessly pivot and chase every new social media platform because a marketer told you that you were falling behind, the data and the history are literally giving you permission to slow down.
You don't have to run their race.
No. Moving fast usually just means you are chasing the noise, taking a slow, deliberate approach, filtering all that manufactured urgency through the lens of your own experience,
Right.
and relying on your developed judgment over flashy technical skills. That is the actual proven recipe for long-term sustainability.
It is a profound paradigm shift. And the analysis brilliantly proves that judgment and pattern recognition take decades of friction and reality to develop.
Which is earned, not bought.
Exactly. But it raises a fascinating question for you to take away today, depending on where you are in your own career or business journey.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you are younger, how can you actively borrow or study the discernment of older generations so you don't fall prey to the noise and exhaust your resources on hype cycles?
That's a great point for the younger listeners.
And if you are that experienced individual, how do you finally give yourself permission to trust your innate, hard-earned judgment, even when the entire digital world is screaming at you to hurry up?
Such an incredible question to chew on as you navigate whatever project or business you're working on right now. Trust your inner structural engineer. Look for the load-bearing walls and stop panicking at every shiny new rendering.
Well said.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the noise, keep looking for the underlying patterns, and we will see you next time.